It's time now for a look at the headlines in today's French newspapers. I'm joined for that by Diptyque Laurent. Hello there.
Hi, Kat.
Now, no surprise, really. I think the French papers are absolutely focusing, if not dedicating almost their entire newspaper, to those primaries for the centre-right that we had on Sunday.
That's right, primaries that saw an unexpected landslide victory, you might say. Fillon crushes it all. That's on the front page of Le Parisien newspaper. He crushed it all, including polls that had consistently put him in third place behind Alain Juppé and Nicolas Sarkozy. Well, he proved them wrong. 20 Minutes, which is a street paper, says Fillon wins, Sarko is knocked out, Sarko est KO. That's from 20 Minutes. A great photo here of Fillon in the forefront, and behind him is adversary Alain Juppé in the background. Fillon, of course, will meet Alain Juppé in next week's second round of voting.
All right, those, as you say, the two men going through to the second round, but it's almost as much of a story about the man who placed third, Nicolas Sarkozy. Really, as you say, a crushing defeat for him.
Well, he would have become the first ex-president to run again for election, but it's not the case. Fillon's victory has been overshadowed, of course, somewhat by the crushing defeat of Nicolas Sarkozy. Let's look at Libération's front page here. A great front page. Fillon takes off l'envol. Sarkozy, la chute, it's Sarkozy's downfall. Libération is always one for theatrics, and this one does not disappoint. You see Fillon juxtaposed, a victorious Fillon juxtaposed with a very defeated Sarkozy.
It almost looks like a statue or a carving.
Or a movie poster.
Yeah, very dramatic indeed. Well, Libé, it's the left-leaning newspaper. I think our viewers probably know that. It's penned an almost gleeful editorial about the defeat of Nicolas Sarkozy.
In this editorial, they say the Sarkozy blast has belly flopped while Nicolas Sarkozy stepped up his verbal attacks. I quote, his stand-up style meetings, his book signings during this campaign, it wasn't enough. Libé also hails the so-called anti-Sarkozy vote, those left-leaning voters who voted to ensure, I quote, that the nasty little duck could never fly again. They should be satisfied with the result. Libé says people voted according to their true values. I quote again, in other words, not for a man who is capable of saying, "Get lost, you stupid idiot," as Sarkozy infamously said in 2008 while he was president.
Indeed, right at the start of his presidency,
Exactly.
In fact, the biggest misstep of all time, perhaps. That was, as I said, the left-leaning newspaper, Libération. What about the conservative newspapers?
Well, let's start with Le Figaro, which calls it La déferlante Fillon, the Fillon tsunami wave, if you like. That's how they're calling it on their front page. They describe, they hail the formidable success of the primary, saying in its editorial, in this great game of upsets, which has become the norm in the democracy of crisis, the electors once again have changed their results with their vote. Nearly 4 million people turned out for that primary election on Sunday. Fillon took away 44% of votes, far behind him Alain Juppé with 28%, and even further behind Nicolas Sarkozy. L'Opinion, the right-wing newspaper, calls it Le raz-de-marée Fillon, the Fillon tidal wave. In this cartoon on its front page, you see a downcast Sarkozy holding the results and Fillon consoling him, telling him, well, he'll need allies. It's clear that Fillon is well on his way to becoming to the presidential election. But of course, before that, he needs to beat Alain Juppé in next week's second round.
Indeed. Now, Le Parisien has been talking about that supposed anti-Sarkozy vote that you mentioned there. They don't seem to think that it's necessarily a thing.
Not really. Le Parisien says, well, the idea that millions of left-wing electors came out to vote against Sarkozy and effectively bury his chances, this alone cannot explain Fillon's cruising victory. Le Parisien says the electors chose, I quote, a man who hasn't diverged from his politics, a candidate who promises clear cuts in the number of civil servants, who wants to increase the work week and rewrite the gay marriage law. That's François Fillon. For Le Parisien, it's a paradox in a way that millions of left-wing electors turned out to essentially vote for a man who's very conservative. And Slate actually has written an article warning people that François Fillon is a lot more right-wing than you think. He may come from a, quote, tempered, moderate, gentle France, but it's one where reactionary airs float around and have never really been dissipated.
Yeah, he's certainly quite quietly spoken. As you say, we haven't even really heard that much from him during the campaign because he was considered such a laggard. So people will certainly be examining his record and his policies a bit more closely. So just looking ahead to that second round runoff next weekend, the Figaro says that Fillon is looking in pretty good shape.
He's definitely looking good shape, especially after this victory on Sunday. There's a wave of popularity and support for François Fillon, perhaps because people don't know him so much. He's been steadily rising in the opinion polls, while his adversary, Alain Juppé, who was tipped to win this primary election, has been steadily declining. This could be a key factor for next week's election. The other positive point is that Sarkozy has publicly endorsed him. But as we know, in this year of political surprises, polls are consistently unpredictable.
Indeed, expect the unexpected. Thanks so much, Diptyque Laurent there with our international press review. Time